I'm David, and I'm joined by the one and only
Gabriel K. Sinclair, defender and promoter of the Gnomish Network.
And we're starting, after about a year of talking about this started as sort of a chat between the two of us. I think it was a post-episode discussion that we both love Arcanum and other games like that. An idea to something in between a Let's Play, a retrospective, I'm just calling it a slow play or a soak. We're soaking in the juices of Arcanum in this series, where the hope is we're going to play through it from start to finish. We both have our characters we've started out. We've crashed already. We'll talk through that and our character creation a bit. And over the course of it, kind of become masters of Arcanum and all about it, and talk through why we as Troika old heads love it so much, mechanically, why it's so interesting, plot stuff. I think we're just going to kind of go through it really slow. And yeah, Gabe, I mean, how did we end up here?
Well, like you said, this is in our Google Docs, our secret Google Docs, our black book, where we discuss all our upcoming episodes, some of which have been, I guess, almost 2 years in the making now. But we were discussing this for a long time because, you and I are both Arcanum heads. And really, we've been talking about this because I got into video essays via the RPG thing. Retrospective Gaming. Remember that channel? He used to do RPG coverage all the time. It's like back then, when the white dude who made video essays, he wasn't covering 12 hours of iCarly and lolly porn. The white guy, the video essayist of like the early 2010s, it was peak. These were men who are generally autistically interested in their subject matters. And of course, they had that classical hipster thing, but applied to gaming and old school RPGs. So you would see these guys go really in depth, like, this is back then, like, Fallout 3 is like such a baby's game. You gotta try Arcanum, and it's like the old school one with actual stats and choice and consequences and good writing and these kind of things.
Do you remember the guy with the raptor head, by the way, as an aside?
Raptor head?
There was a guy who was big back then, and he deleted his channel, he vanished, and he always talked about New Vegas. They had like a little raptor head emoji. No, this guy lost to time. But sure. I'm just saying, I remember this era too. I'm a little bit older than you, but I still enjoyed some of that content. It seems like it's not quite as in fashion anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, remember Mr. B-Tongue?
Oh my God, Mr. B-Tongue. He has a bunch of articles that are good too. A lot of people haven't seen it on Seamus Young's website. That's a whole separate thing, the tragedy of Seamus Young, that I plan to write an article about, because he has an incredible series. This guy wrote 40K words plus on the Mass Effect series, and his whole argumentation of why Mass Effect 1 is the best. Everyone that likes Mass Effect 2 is a poser. Really a great piece of writing in terms of like game criticism and just argumentation.
Yeah, and this was peak. This is like, what would you say, 2014, I'd say? Maybe a little later? Yeah, 2014, 2015 seemed to be the peak of the white dude video essayist.
Yeah, and we're covering this game and in this series, this format, I guess to try and fill in for this gap, this kind of stuff that we like to see, and then also because Arcanum itself, it just falls into a really interesting corner of history, right? So this was published in late August of 2001. Something big happened. I think it was 2 weeks or so after this game launched, in terms of the country. Obviously, as you know, Gabe, it wasn't as big as Gamergate, but something pretty big happened. That's a Gabe original idea right there, by the way. I'm not stealing credit for that. But it's the documentation on it. If you go online, a lot of it's old Game Banshee articles. There's really like spotty forums. Terra Arcanum, shout out, the website that has sort of kept the game alive and hosts a lot of the stuff, has kind of been a stalwart, but from what I see, it's kind of quieted down. And yeah, this game it's really passionately loved by a lot of people that are into RPGs, but it just seems like it didn't get quite the mass broad appeal and following, and didn't have the sequels. In the way our Slot King series maybe identifies as could be a problem in its broader popularity. And this one's just, it's very well known, and yet there's not a ton of content on it, discussion of it. It's just fascinating to me in that way.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of talk about it now. But how I heard from Arcanum, this is my zoomer showing out. It's I was looking up the video. Here it is from Retrospective Gaming. Right, 8 years ago, Arcanum of Steamworks and Magick Obscura review. That's their full name, but no one uses the real name, right? I think honestly, I think that was Tim's idea. Don't quote me on that. The subheading was Tim's, sadly. He likes the a blank thing, so that's why it's so clunky, the full name. But yeah, so 8 years ago was that was it. And for a long time, if you wanted Arcanum videos on YouTube, it was him, Retrospective Gaming. His whole shtick was reviewing the old Fallouts, the old CRPGs, Baldur's Gate, and so forth. He stopped. He takes long breaks because he viewed Arcanum again 3 years ago. Yeah, other than that, Indiegogo Gaming's video on it was also 7 years ago. I actually remember watching. God, I feel so old now. Seth's video 6 years ago.
Oh my god! Oh, my beard just grew about a foot when you said that. Yeah, but a lot of people, the joke I've heard is that's how people know it, and no one's actually played it. I suspect a lot of people played it. In your experience, is that when you picked it up, you saw one of those videos
Yes, that's how I heard of it. Was because. I'm a forum kid. I did go up, but I was on the Fallout forums, right? And that's how I learned to RPG Codex and all these things. So I participated in it via wanting to be the cool kid. Like, oh, I'm a Fallout fan, but I'm an edgy hipster Fallout fan. I like the OGs. That you still got hipster credit back in the early 2010s for preferring the OG Fallouts to Todd's Law, right? But that's not the case anymore. It's become very normified. It's no longer hip. You're no longer a hipster for preferring the old ones now anymore. Sadly.
Yeah. One other aspect to point out, just the style of game this is isometric, sprite based. Again, this is for 2001. This is an out of fashion style that the game came out in. It's very similar to Fallout 1 for anyone that's listening that hasn't played Arcanum yet. It's in terms of gameplay, sort of the freedom of movement and just the general format of it, and it changes a lot, but it's the same DNA for sure as Fallout, and I think it's superior to Fallout actually in just about every way. I've played it certainly more than the Fallouts, but I kind of came into it in terms of my own experience. This was the first one of that series I played. I got this on a demo CD back in the day. Old heads remember. Either that or my brother bootlegged a copy, and but all I knew is I had the demo, which I assume you haven't played the demo, Gabe.
No, I don't know what a CD even is.
In the demo, you could play until the bridge of Shrouded Hills.
Yes, yeah. I heard about this. Lore Runner talked about this.
Okay,
that's the demo ends when you get to the thieves on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so I played through that part 5 times as a kid, essentially. Different characters. Did not totally get the stats. I did find it very confusing, but fascinating and so flexible. The idea of a point-buy system, like a classless point-buy system, was just revolutionary to me. I didn't even have the words to articulate how interesting and different this was to anything I'd experienced. And then eventually I played it. Have you beaten the game yet, Gabe? Are you real? Are you for real?
Yes, I beaten the game I beaten the game once. I've done multiple playthroughs, but I've been. You always get to that sewer level issue for a lot of these games.
Yeah, the infamous Troika. This game is the Black Mountain Clan, right?
Oh God, yes. There's always that the fucking Black Mountain Clan bullshit. It's and it's not it's some ways it's worse than Vampire. At least you can no clip with the Vampire sewers. You know what I mean?
I am nervous about that in this game because of the character I picked. I'm not to get ahead. I think we're going to do a little bit more prep before we talk about our character creation. But yeah, I remember the Black Mountain Clan absolutely just walloping my ass as a kid. And it's the death of a few characters. Yeah, similarly, I think I probably played this with 4. I probably put 40 or 50 characters into this game. And of that, maybe 20 or a dozen made it out of Shrouded Hills, just because you kind of play for a while, this build doesn't really work because it's so freeform, especially when you're young. And then from those, they just went straight to Toronto. I only beat the game one time all the way. And that was my second time playing, because the first I was a technologist dwarf guy, and I actually had a game save corruption. and I got completely fucked over. I was in Caledon, which is sort of towards the late of the game.
Oh, you got really
I got so fucked. I think I put the game down for a while, and I came back a year or two later, and then I beat it with a wizard guy, which was very straightforward and fun.
Which is easy mode. It's easy mode in this game.
Yeah, the balance is and Tim Kaine even admits this. And we're gonna in this series, I guess I'm gonna have to call out. We will be pulling in Tim Kaine videos. Maybe we'll even do some set aside videos where we just talk about some Tim Kaine content, because he's putting out these daily vlogs. Many of them are Arcanum, or not many. There's a handful of Arcanum themed or just general game themed that are super applicable. It's just really fertile ground. I don't see people covering the content outside of himself. So it could be another fun avenue. We could view it as people that are neck deep in his game and trying to master it from the inside. See how it's...
I got. If you have any game developer friends, shout out to Samsara. To Playable Exhortation. Friend of the show, Simsara. He's taking a lot of good advice from it, because this is it's like what Sanderson does with his lectures. It's what Kane's trying to do for the industry. It's basically free lectures on how you design your game, the background, the nit and grittiness of it all.
Some are quite technical too. I tend not to listen to those because I do not make games, but I respect him for just going for that, especially on YouTube, right? It's not the most rewarding thing. And then he obviously does the easy stuff, talking about Fallout, back to the greats, which I like Fallout. I'm not passionate about it like some people are. It was always...
Well, actually, was Arcanum your first CRPG period? Because you said that was your first.
No, I had definitely played a few, maybe Diablo or some other stuff like that was like RPG-ish. But I'd never done anything by any of the Fallouts. I'd never done anything, I don't think anything that complex. So it's definitely like diving into the deep end.
Oh, so you did Arcanum before you even did Fallout 1
exactly.
or 2.
I probably played Fallout 1 and 2 like 5 years later. Like it was way after.
If you're an Arcanum head, then in comparison, Fallout 1 is very simple. It actually is very point A. There's only one build in Fallout 1. There's only one good build in Fallout 1.
What is it, small guns? Charisma?
You do what's it called? The traits. It lowers all your skills. Yeah. Gifted, you do gifted. Agility at 9, intelligence closer to 9 or 10. There's no other reason to do any other build. You know what I mean? And charisma's useless. Charisma, I think, other than Fallout 2, is still useless to a certain degree. I don't know if in vanilla Fallout 2 is your companions tied to your charisma or no. I'm pretty sure it is in vanilla Fallout 2.
I don't remember. Yeah, I've only played Fallout. I've played both of the Fallouts one time all the way through as well, with like a couple, like one or two false starts. But I was older then, and I knew I was a graybeard in RPGs, and like I'd played tabletop RPGs. So I was like, okay, I know what these stats are doing. Whereas in this game, It's even if you know traditional RPGs, and maybe we'll dive into character creation in a minute here. The stats themselves are they don't function quite the same, and there's like new ones too. You have beauty and perception. Well, okay, maybe we'll dive into character creation. Before that, anything else I guess we need to cover on maybe Arcanum just in general, because it's so big. Tim Kaine called his kitchen sink game. It just has a ton of content, a ton of different angles, and it wasn't. We keep mentioning Kaine. We should also again highlight this was not just him working on this, right? Leonard Boyarsky,
Jason Anderson. To give if you want me to give a little bit of background info on this, I can. So the Troika Studios was founded on, I believe, April 1st of 1998. They initially they weren't seeking out to make a company, but during the process of making Fallout 2, Tim just had it with Interplay. The notorious story is Brian Fargo was, staying true to his banking heritage, the great Satan, of the Fargo
Brian
family.
Fargo.
Brian Fargo, yes. Basically saying, denied him his bonus, even though it was in contract. Fergus even promised him a bonus, and basically cut him his bonus. And it's like, and Brian is like being very bitchy about it. He's like, oh, maybe I'll encourage you to do better next time. And so Tim was like, yeah, fuck you, dude. I because the Fallout was entirely his idea. It was entirely his idea, and it ended up being not a B project. For them, it was even a C project. No one cared about Fallout for the first time. It was like a handful of dudes wanted to do Fallout, and it being a bestseller, an amazing game, 10 out of 10. And it was him and his best friend Leonard Boyarsky who stood by him no matter what. And they would constantly get in arguments with the box cover, even, because Boyarsky wanted the cover. They didn't want the classic helmet cover, by the way. They said you need to have a human face. And Leonard's like, that's retarded. Like, the armor looks cool. The whole point is it looks
story
cool.
with Leonard Boyarsky, by the way, he's always right. Like, I have to say, like, he seems like he's just got like incredible instincts. Oh, and one other thing.
Oh yeah, he does.
Fact check by True Patriot, by True Troika Patriots. I think Tim Kaine withdrew his comment that you had mentioned the promotion, not the promotion, the bonus, right? He didn't get a bonus. That he said he talked to him at the filming or the screening of the Fallout show, and supposedly had. I don't know if he got put in a headlock and cucked or what. Maybe there's more to it.
I think I guarantee that if you ever see interviews with Brian Fargo, he really does come off like that kind of guy. He's like, I got death threats. I got death threats, Tim, because of you. Because of you. Yeah. Listen, I that's bullshit. It's 100%. Brian Fargo was.
I'm with you.
And basically so after they left Interplay, so afterwards he never says Brian Fargo's name again. He just says "quote unquote" Interplay. So Interplay. So after he signs his resignation letter, Leonard Boyarsky sees that and he's like, in solidarity, in worker solidarity, he also signs his resignation letter. And then Jason, the top 3 guys from Fallout, all signed their resignation letters at the same time. And they all tried, as a group, they tried to come as a package. They tried to work for EA. They tried to get a job from Blizzard. Blizzard wanted to hire the 3 of them. Mm-hmm. But Brian Fargo went behind their back. Because if you work in any other industry, Cairo could probably attest to this in Hollywood or music. If you're labeled as difficult to work with from one studio, that spreads like wildfire and no one will hire you. And that's what Brian Fargo, he basically said to the studio heads of Blizzard and everyone else, listen, Tim, he's very hard to work with. He pressured Leonard and Jason to quit with him, even though that wasn't the case. They did it out of genuine worker solidarity and like a craftsman solidarity. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't get a job anywhere. So that's why it's the Thucydides trap. When you try to stop a rising power, that only instigates them to become more independent. Mm-hmm. So Brian Fargo fell for Thucydides trap and actually created, not intentionally created, Troika Studios. So on April 1st, they got their first company in 1998, and they were supposed to release a game. They got from the publisher. A contract to release the game in 2000, which of course Arcanum did not come in 2000. And during that time, it's also a nice little outlook at that period of time, like when the industry was much more masculine and much more male and much more like spurgy. Because one of the publishers they're trying to get a contract for, the head of that publisher, like during the boardroom meeting, got into a fight with Tim Kaine over using C or C++, the coding languages. And he's calling Tim Kaine a retard for preferring C over C++. So Tim is yelling at him, and then Boyarsky starts yelling at the dude too, because Boyarsky has Tim Kaine's back, and this is like in front of like a dozen businessmen in the boardroom, basically. And they're talking about nerd shit about programming languages.
The good old days.
This is the good old days. This is true old head like shenanigans going on here, and so the background to this. So they release a product overview in 1998. They get the design documents for Arcanum and the product overview by 1998 with Sierra, and this was the selling pitch. I have it actually. I have a screenshot right here. Quote: imagine a place of wonder where magic and technology hold equal sway, and an adventurer might just as easily wield a flintlock pistol as a flaming sword. A place where great industrial cities, houses, castles, keeps, and factories, home to dwarves, humans, orcs, and elves alike. A place of ancient ruins and steamworks, of magic and machines, of sorcery and science. Welcome to the land of Arcanum. Arcanum product overview in 1998. So they had the gist. They had the gist, the germ of the idea very early on. I think the gist was what happens in a Lord of the Rings setting as the Industrial Revolution happened. I forgot whose idea was it. I don't know if it was Boyarsky or Tim or both. but they actually come from the deconstructionist school. Like Fallout was, of course, pulpy. What if the 1950s had a love child of Mad Max and like 1990s grunge or 1990s new metal? Because people always forget the new metal aesthetics of the first Fallout 1. Boyarsky was very specific. You can see Korn posters in Fallout 1, and very, very much influenced by like horror movies and slasher pics and
I think they said even when they were designing and making the art for it, they just had those movies just playing on repeat. And that music.
Yeah, Road Warrior.
Yeah, Road Warrior specifically, because one of the outfits like literally is just the Road Warrior outfit. And it's like, yeah, he's like, I'm just watching that in the office. And so that's what comes out directly or indirectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the technology and the aesthetics were like Art Deco 1950s, 1920s, but the culture, even if you look at in Fallout 1 and even 2, it's very grungy 90s core in terms of the mood and atmosphere. And with Arcanum, it's your generic Tolkien-esque fantasy world, but with the twist of, you know, the Goy, the Gentile humans have finally gotten control of the technology, and they start an industrial revolution.
No, I think that's a good summary of how they sort of came together as a company and they made Arcanum. And I think we're gonna do a whole series of it, and every episode in the future we're going to talk about that part of the game, all that, but I think we're also just going to stretch out some of these design conversations through it. So this isn't just a straight, again, like a let's play. I think there's like a ton of more meat on these bones, and I have a lot more thoughts to get into for sure on some of these aspects as we do this. We also hopefully cover Bloodlines one day, fingers crossed, and some of these other series.
Oh, building up the hype for the Bloodlines arc.
Already,
let's go.
Yeah, starting early. We'll see if we're able to how this one goes first, but
and don't forget that we can't forget the Temple Tots. We love our Temple Tots. All four of you who prefer Temple.
I have installed it one time. It's as far as I've gotten, to be honest.
I listen. If we did an entire video on Temple Elemental Evil, pretending we played it with anyone else,
yeah, there'd be that one dude that calls, "It's all a lie. It's all a lie." Anyway, getting into it. So anyone listening, if you haven't played Arcanum, pick it up and play it. If you haven't played in a while, maybe you'll play along with us a little bit. That could be fun. If you want to hop on for a guest appearance episode, just message me. Not that hard to get a hold of. If you want to play it now, though, Gabe, there's only one way to play it. Am I right? And that's with the UAP, aka the unofficial Arcanum patch.
Because the GOG version doesn't come with the patch, by the way. Usually, the GOG does usually include fan patches from time to time, or they make their own patch to sell it. With the Arcanum one, no. You have to. It's very funny. I sent a video to Dave. You know, like his working out the box.
Works on my machine.
It works. And you just see this nightmare strobe light, and it's like the mouse is like duplicating on the screen. The fan on my PC sounds like it's going to explode at any minute.
This game was infamously buggy at launch too. I mean, all the Troika games were pretty infamous for it, but this one, even back then, like I shared with my story earlier, when the first time I played it, I lost like 30 hours of progress on my playthrough, just due to God knows what. I don't know, memory leak or something. But with this mod, it's stable on modern systems. Apparently, it can't even run on Windows 10 without this mod. I've heard.
Well, I'm running it on Windows 11 actually.
Ooh, all right. Windows flexing.
Yeah, Windows flexing. I got the new. It's the new wave Windows. But the thing is, a fun fact about this is that actually Tim allegedly, wink wink, he literally winked in the camera during this video. Apparently, the fan patch was actually made because the source code of Arcanum was quote unquote leaked by a mysterious figure, and that's how the fan patch was actually made.
That is wonderful. And the dude that made it is a Ukrainian guy, Drog Blacktooth, who has apparently vanished. But I've heard from sources that say they know him. Actually, I joined there's an Arcanum Discord. Shout out to those guys. And I checked, and apparently it seems he's still alive. Someone's heard from him, and some people are mad at him because he said he got some crowdfunding to do additional patching, and he hasn't done it yet. So anyway, there's some kind of minor drama there. All that to say, the UAP stands on its own two legs. It's like a solid piece of software. I don't think it's been updated in like 5 years. So it's like, get it. There's a great video by, I don't know, link it beneath this, Two-Headed Hero. I don't know if you use anything else, because I'm using I installed this ages ago, Gabe. Did you have any other resources that helped you get it working?
No. Pro tip: if you're for some reason you're not looking through Reddit threads to get this to work, if you download the UAP and you're still having this weird like strobe light monstrosity on your computer, like literally just go to the high res folder on the install file and just turn to ddraw, literally two Ds, dd raw dot, and it's whatever it is. Turn it to ddraw.old, OLD, and that should fix it.
Yeah, I think I did that too. I didn't have any issue, but it just said it in the guide. It's like, all right, whatever, I'll do it. I trust you, bro. And it makes it high resolution. The UI has to be a little squeezed in the middle. I think it looks fine, but they have to make some things to accommodate.
And if it turns it full, and he makes it full screen.
Oh yeah, no, it adds so much more usability. In addition to that, there's some miscellaneous mods. I would suggest just probably going with all of those. I don't remember. I think I have either all of them or nearly all of them activated. Specifically, there is a change to the experience system, the way it distributes between your team. Like in the original game, whoever did the damage in combat got all the experience, which led to this really weird thing where if you're like a higher charisma character, you have a larger party, or you could just end up with a really wonky system because the game, in a tabletop game, it makes sense that, I'm a charisma character, so I can do interactions and things to get experience. But in a CRPG, you have what's in the game, and so you got kind of screwed over or weird experience. All to say, switch that on, and then I believe it just evenly distributes between every active party member the experience points, so you don't get any of that weird stuff.
Yeah, so you don't get fucked over. You're playing a charisma build.
Yeah, there's one or two others that I think were pretty good. I can't remember off the top of my head. I also got an additional one. I'll mention it more during our Shrouded Hills segment episode, but there is also a update to the item identification. There's like a small mod that some guy recently made. I added it. It's quite good. I'll probably link that below, or in the next one I'll mention in more detail. Anything else on the UAP? There was also some beta content I don't think I have active. Oh, and you can be new races. That might come up in a second. But yeah, worth it. Get it and play.
You can finally play as a dark elf with the mod.
Yeah. Dark elves are in control. Speaking of which, are you ready to jump in? Before we even see the tutorial video, right? We load in, we get those Kino cutscenes at the start. I mean, come on, that is like, I don't know, is that Boyarsky that's making these things? It just reminds me so much of the Fallout. There's like so much visual information.
If I remember correctly, I will update this in the future when I do more research. But the first thing they ever did was the knight with the gun shooting the dude with the sword, and I think that's a reference to Indiana Jones with the notorious scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you got the Muslim warrior with his sword, and Indy's just like, fuck this, I'm going to use the white man's magic. And
Harrison Ford had like 100-degree fever or something like that, so he was like sick as a dog when they were filming it. So it just adds to where he's like sweaty and just limp as he just shoots this guy half-heartedly.
So I think this, if I remember the story correctly, which I will update with future references because I'm going through his playlist, because Tim Kane's actually very organized. Of his, like, each of his videos, he will cite 12 other of his videos, and they're all in the description of the video he's talking about. So he's like, it's basically just his entire channel is just one big documentary of different chapters. It's a very fascinating. He's a very structured man. So if I remember correctly, the very first concept art or the very first visual was the knight shooting the swordsman with a gun.
No, that would totally make sense. Oh, another comparison is total sidetrack. We're not going to get into it now, but Sid Meier put out a autobiography. Interesting comparing that to Tim Kaine as a video, sort of a video biography that self-links to itself, people can interact with, and just something to consider in terms of our Slop King series. Anyway.
It's very Wallace-esque in terms of its footnotes.
Yes, it is. I refuse to get sidetracked anymore. Character.
Yeah, but back to the beautiful intro.
Oh yeah,
because it starts over and then it goes to black and white and the grainy look, and you have the dialogue boxes of like a welcome to Arcanum. You find yourself aboard the FS Zephyr high above the Stonewall Mountains, and you got the beautiful soundtrack. The stringed instrument soundtrack is
Oh
beautiful.
yeah, you forget. Like I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and it's just it does. I don't mind it playing on loop because it's all just so. It's like a period piece, or it's like of the period, like chamber music. It's like a 4-string quartet, I believe. Yeah, I don't have the language of the musical knowledge to say why it's so good. I just know that it's like extremely fitting. The only downside is this will come more later. Definitely could have used like 2 or 3 more combat songs to play. Because I recall it getting old.
It is repetitive.
Yeah.
But when you send me a clip of your character and you're in the crash site, gathering items and so forth, and the first thing that struck me was like, oh man, I forgot how cozy the soundtrack is. Like the music has a strong sense of personality.
The setting is a character. I don't know if you've heard this before.
Oh,
and the music is the.
Oh,
setting.
You're telling me for the first time. You're telling me for the first time.
This one, what is the music at the crash site? Is it just like country or like the wilderness theme?
I think it's the wilderness theme.
It's the one where it just like comes in and out really like suddenly. All 4 instruments come in and out repeatedly, do the intro. Anyway, we might have to do a whole separate combo on that. I would prepare myself for it. Yeah, but yeah, there's IFS Cypher, and then they get attacked and crash, and just a great cinematic. It has, again, that Fallout 1 kind of intro, like so information dense, where you get to see these different, like the hand is green. It's like, oh, that's an orc guy, I guess. And you see the giants.
And it slowly fades into color once you go inside the blimp. It's a great touch.
No, it is.
There's something about the intros to all of their games. Either Fallout 1, you're inside the vault. You drew the short straw. You go into your cave. Either Arcanum or Vampire. You have one good night, and you get caught by the fake cell police, and then you go before the Camarilla and the theater. The opening of each of Troika's games, of all of Tim Kane's games, except for the big the flop that we don't talk about, that bastard that was made recently. Almost all of Tim Kane's games have extremely strong opening where you are a fish out of we use this term before. You're a character out of the know, but there is a know. There's people who are in the know, and characters around the player act as if you are completely foreign to the environment, but you have to be introduced to the laws and settings and customs of the world around you. Because if you notice, if you choose a pre-built character, which no one ever does, but if you go to Arcanum and you say select a character instead of like build a character, like each of the characters have very built-in backstories about, oh, I'm from the Shires of Bolingbroke, and I'm going to Toronto to go inherit my father's company, and I go back for my liaisons with my mistresses. Each of the characters' backstories have good like flavor text for the world.
Yeah, and it kind of assumes you'll read through those probably, just for that purpose. One of my critiques of Arcanum as a setting actually is the fact that the other continent is never detailed at all. Because it's so ambiguous, I think it actually makes you less connected and able to like grapple with, oh, why would my guy be here? Because I think it's one of the things that holds Arcanum back from its mass popularity is it lacks that Fallout Pip-Boy condensing of a concept into a single meme, which has been to the detriment of Fallout in the long term, perhaps. But Arcanum is... You kind of come in and it is a little... You have all this great detail from the character creation, but you definitely aren't like... You aren't confident, at least when I first played it. I was like confident with who my guy would be and where he would be relative, unless I used a pre-build, which, who's going to ever use a pre-build? Even as a kid, I was doing the custom one.
Well, they do hint, like if you look at any Tim Kaine game, they always hint at the bigger world. With Fallout, of course, Fallout 1, there's of course the vaults, which is revealed in Fallout 2. It's warped from their initial design for the vaults in Fallout 2, but it just completely goes off the rails after Fallout 2, of course. But with the vaults, the experiments are subtly hinted at, and with the Zach's computer, and of course, what is the rest of the world like, and all these things, they're hinted in Fallout 1. I would kind of slightly push back on the idea of, like, we don't know anything about the outer continent. That's mostly intentional. Most of Tim Kane's games, or all of the Troika's games, because same thing with Vampire the Masquerade, like with the Gehenna and the Final Nights and the weird things you're hearing out in the Middle East, and of course with the your taxi driver, it's strange when the white man is driving you around instead of a recent immigrant. So you can tell it's set in the early 2000s.
Hell is nearly here. Hell has frozen over or something. Well, here's my reasoning for it is, okay, in Fallout, it's the vault. And a vault is a very small and defined place by its just the terms used to describe it, right? It's like, oh, okay, it's a sealed underground thing. And, there's like the whatever, the guy that leads it. You have some sense of structure from it. But it doesn't matter much to the outside world. The anonymity of the vault as a setting within the Fallout world is okay because people don't understand you and like what it's like down there. Whereas if you are in an Arcanum world and I'm coming from, fantasy Europe into fantasy America or whatever the exact analogy would be, it would matter immensely. Like, oh, is there a France over there? Is there an England? Am I from a France or a Germany from over there? There's a little more, and it's a fantasy world, so they have some of those Tolkien bolt-ons of like, oh yeah, from the Shire of, on the other side of the other continent. But it just creates a minor ambiguity. And I'm going on about this. This is a very subtle thing, but it's just something that will, I think, runs the course through the game where you're like, okay, so Tarant is part of this industrial empire. Does it have any understanding relations with the other continent? Or it might as well not exist. And I get for the purpose of an RPG, there's no need for it to exist. But it's one of those like minor, like a few lines I think could have really fluffed it out and made the world of Arcanum have more sticking power as opposed to the setting of Arcanum, if that makes sense.
I'm going to own you with facts and logic right now. What you want is the opening of Morrowind. You want Morrowind because that's Morrowind that does a good job of that. Of you feel like, oh, you're in the land of Morrowind, the Dark Elves, and they make it very abundantly clear what the Imperial culture is like. The Imperials are using you, and you have an understanding. Even though most people didn't play Daggerfall, if you play just Morrowind, you have a really good sketch of what the outside world views Morrowind and views the Dark Elves, and you have a good understanding of how the Dark Elves view the outside world. Even from because you're a glowy. You play as a glowy. You're a prisoner going into meeting the Imperial guards.
Coin. Yeah, you're going to go tell what you see on the other side.
Yeah, so because Morrowind does, I guess, from that point of view of like, because Tarant as an empire, you would have viceroys from Hiddendorf of the south. And Globoslop from the north, you'd have
the embassy here or something like that. If it was, I understand obviously it's smaller because it's a game, but there would be some kind of representation or awareness.
Right, I would say I think the Adventurers Guild, the museum in Tarant, makes brief references to the outside world like that, which was supposed to be a setting up to the sequel. The dragons and stuff like that. The Journey to Center of the Arcanum.
I think that is in the content of Arcanum. So like the dragon thing comes up within the content. I believe. Again, I haven't played this through in a long time. So I guess we'll see. This is something that's been stewing in my mind since I had beaten it way back or in Sin. So I feel a little bit owned and seen through facts and logic.
More with Todd 1, Tim Kaine 0 in terms of world building.
Exactly. The Todd Law. But I don't think it's necessarily. It's a small splinter in the mind to keep in as we go forward.
And another aspect of world building, I know we're not at Vampire Masquerade, but another great aspect of this is the way they actually feed you information about the world. If you notice in Arcanum, you have the newspaper, which is so well done. It is really well done with how it conveys its world building to you. Because you can see this in modern games, like for example, BioShock does this with the cheap audio log, where the guy goes on a full soliloquy about his life and his dead mother and his hopes and dreams, right before a zombie with like a wrench crashes his skull in the bathroom. You got the audio logs of the BioShock types, right? And then you have Bethesda doing the radio thing after Vampire did the radio thing. But if you notice with the radio thing of Vampire, or you notice with the newspaper in Arcanum. Well, Arcanum, it not only does it give you information about the world, the tone, and the overall society, it is also reflective of your actions. It's a very easy way to do choice and consequences. Is the newspaper in let's say Arcanum, or even if it's not reacting to you, but it's more about the world. Let's say that famous scene in Vampire. When Andre calls Deb. Do you remember that scene where he's like, the final nights are coming, Deb, and the moon will be covered and yes,
Yeah.
it builds up the atmosphere of the final nights, and you as and Vampire does this a lot. I think it's the best. I won't gush over Vampire for too long, but you really intrinsically feel that you are a character that's surrounded by people who had their lives. They had their own lives before you were here, and they're still doing their own thing during you're here. The world doesn't bend towards you. It's not like in the College of Winterhold, but it didn't have like a head mage until you came and showed up. Or in Skyrim, the world's on pause, everyone's frozen, all their lives are frozen until you show up, basically. But in Vampire, people are going in out their lives with or without you. Right, it sells the illusion of a living world far easier because you don't know what the fuck the Final Nights are. You don't know if it is the Final Nights. This is this is source book lore from the World of Darkness setting that they're spouting out at you, and you only get a crumb and a crust of knowledge about it, right? But you can dig deeper and you feel like there's people within the know around you, and you're only just a little bit on the outside getting a taste and the flavor of the world around you, both you as a player and as a character inside this world. It's so invigorating. It's so fresh, and it really, really does a very good job. All of Tim Kane's games, other than of course the Black Sheep we don't talk about, other than that one, does a very good job conveying, and not only conveying information, conveying the shape and the feeling of a large world around you. There's more things you don't know about the world than there are the things that you do know. If that makes any sense.
He even talk about, it's one of his videos about factions, where he talks about how every faction should have multiple kinds of characters in it. That is to say, in gameplay terms, there's like a more stealthy character, and there's a more combat-y character, or a more diplomacy character, to represent both different play styles, but then also just what you're saying in terms of it makes it feel more dynamic because they're not monoliths waiting for you to come and become their king, become the faction head. It's like, oh no, the Fighters Guild, we need a leader. It's got to be the player character. Instead, it's more you're within the world and the world feels real. And something you talk through when we get into a town is the day-night cycles too, which were pretty cutting edge in terms of some of the graphics used at the time. But then we'll talk about more when we get into a town. But then also the sleep cycles. I have some funny stories actually about that because I've played Head just a little bit. And some shenanigans have been going on in Shrouded Hills already, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've crashed. We've talked about the text you read through, Gabe. Character creation. Do we have a name of who we're dealing with here? What are his stats? Who are you going for? Because we don't know each other's character totally. We hinted so that we wouldn't play the same character exactly, but I do not know what you're dealing with precisely.
All right. Well, give me your character's name first.
All right. Introducing.
Oh, drum roll.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. Magick Burrows, the Halfling Thief. I want to do something thiefy. I want to do something techy, but tech is a lot of work if you want to be really inventor focused. So I was like, I'm going to go a little bit more of a skills build. And so Magick is a halfling, so you get -3 to strength and maybe something else. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do it. I want to do a background to spice it up. And so I was flicking through the backgrounds. I saw a few interesting ones. The one is called Halfling Thief, where you get a bonus to prowling, I think, and you get a minus to intelligence. I was like, that's not quite right. I want something that makes up for my weak strength a little bit. So I picked Beat with an Ugly Stick. So my man had -6 beauty. So he's at 2 beauty right now. Hideous guy. That much beauty is a -52 reaction modifier. Often when you meet someone in this game, they're at like a 55 reaction. If you go below 0, they will try to kill you. So A little nervous starting out here. I'm not sure how that's going to shake out exactly as I started my character. And then I put some points into thiefy stuff. Backstab. I've never done a backstab build before. I've actually never done a thief build.
And you're playing as a human, right?
I tried.
Halfling.
No, he's a halfling. That's why with Maddox Burrows, I just went on Tolkien Wiki or something. I looked up some Hobbit names. I merged two together. So Maddox Burrows, because he lives in a burrow. Backstab, pickpocket, and then I think I also put a point into melee. And from beaten with an ugly stick, I got cucked by the game character system because it said +1 to bow, dodge, and throwing. And so when you think +1, you like, what do you think? You think, oh, +1 build point, right?
One would assume.
I mean, would you assume that, or
one would assume that, right? I think you're referring to a certain fiasco.
No. This is a different one. And this is exactly my point. And something I just want to be upfront. We are not going to go through all the character stuff right now because it's just too detailed. We're going to definitely this will be something we hit on a few different times, a few different angles. But the level of overwhelm, and I think one of the reasons people think this game is so complex is just because there's a lot of unclear connections between things. Like the UI just doesn't make it apparent to you. So yeah, currently it's the 1 point system. So you get 1 point every time you level up. On every 5th level up, you get 2 points. Everything in the character spreadsheet, you have your 8 primary stats, which have some derived stats from that. You can buy up from +1 strength or +1 dexterity or whatever. Those primary stats are split into physical and cerebral, strength, constitution, dexterity, and beauty being physical, intelligence, willpower, perception, charisma being mental, each one kind of counterbalancing another one. And then the skills, there's 16 skills, there's 80 spells, there's 56 technology things you can make. Each of these just costs 1 point to move to either learn how to do the spell or build the technology or to bump up your primary stats by 1 point. But, my friend, the skill system is a 20-point system, and 1 point buys you... How many points do you think up?
No, tell the audience.
Yeah, pretend you don't know, because I didn't know either. This is why I got spanked on this. It buys you 4 points. And so every point you put into skills buys you 4 skill points. Not how it works with anything else in the game. For some reason, that's how it works here. And so with Beat with an Ugly Stick, I thought +1 to each of those combat skills would be like +1 points worth. It's actually +1 out of 20 mini skill cuck points. So thank God for each of those. It all worked out, fortunately. And again, anyone that's maybe not played this game as much, the simple way to play it, if you really want to just not get completely boned, start the game with at least 1 point into melee, go with a melee build, plan a point of dodge later, get your dexterity, strength, and constitution to decent levels. The game is pretty... You can get by on a lot by just having a decent point into the melee skill. The skills are pretty essential, actually.
Well, if you really... Honestly, let's be honest, you could just spam harm. Just spam the shit out of harm.
I refuse to spam harm this time, but I had done in the past, for sure. But the one I beat the game with was Force, which is another stronger spell school. Definitely, this is a game where you can build some really doomed characters. Like you put your points into Haggle or Gamble. You're all in on Gamble. Or you. There's certain spell colleges that are just very crappy. And again, Tim Cain in some of his videos has talked about how basically this is the alpha version of the game almost that got released, where he never had that chance to just spend a month or whatever it was just balancing and doing that final polish. And so you just have these really wonky ones where I'm pulling it up now where what's one that's really bad? Divination. Divination is just useless, unfortunately. Like sense alignment, see the contents of a chest. You could have just spent that 1 point on something that would open the chest. Read aura, which just tells you if a character is good or evil. Sense hidden. I don't even remember what that does, but I think it's pretty useful. And divine magic, which just substitutes for something you could pay someone 100 coins to do, to like identify what a weapon does. Just to say, like, for those same points you got going to that, you could be able to like summon a demon and raise undead, and you have several other useful capabilities.
And Raise Undead is very useful.
Just-
Because remember, Tim Kaine, he said multiple times that he doesn't believe in balancing. Like he doesn't believe in, especially in single player RPGs. He's fine with broken builds. He's fine. He's not like Josh Sawyer, like no fun allowed. Josh Sawyer, right? He's fine with broken builds in his games, as long as that it takes brain power to actually build that particular broken build.
Which I agree with, by the way. Like it's why I think this game. One of the things I love so much about it, I find this character build, I just kind of try to summarize as quickly as possible, just endlessly fascinating because the variety you get is wild. You could make countless characters, and I've made probably half of the possible ones, and played in depth with only 2 or 3.
Well, see, what I want to do is I plan on playing a low IQ build, at least a low IQ build till I get to Toronto, or at least to the bridge, so I could see people can actually see the differences. And not only in terms of like the role playing, but also the dialogue system, because the game is very reactive, and the reactivity starts from the jump in terms of like because the first thing you do is Virgil actually finds you this little robed dude with a goatee, right? The early 2000s goatee, and he says, oh, you're the reincarnated hero, and the game sets you up as a reincarnated of their version of Jesus, basically. I think they even have a Nazareth or something that's very similar to the term Nazareth, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Nazardin. You're the reincarnation Nazardin, and they call you the living one.
So they like basically are like jingo dancing in your face about how, are you prepared to get subverted? Like, because your expectations will be subverted. But so he sets you up on this, and of course, if you're a retard, he's like, "This cannot be. You can't even speak a proper sentence, right?
You're a giant dumb ogre.
You're a mutt. There's no way."
I got no comment on being ugly, by the way. I'm ugly as sin. He can deal with it.
Sure. Well, you know what? He's not too much of a looker. He's a true self himself. All right.
yeah.
Does he have comments if you're a woman? I've never played as a woman, actually. Has he asked any comments if you're a girl?
I don't believe so. Like I did one time have a character that was like a charisma build female. Never got super far. As I recall, it was mostly the same. Except people call you ma'am and things like that. But the actual voice style was the same as far as I recall. There might be another experiment.
Yeah, especially when you get to certain gnomish activities, that might be fun to play as a female. But
oh, and if you have the UAP mod, one of the additions makes it so you have a little cheat menu. If you put on the ring you receive, because the other thing is, I think we're going to skip that, but you get the ring from a gnomish-looking gentleman who says you must find the boy, give him back his ring, because a terrible evil is coming, and only he can stop it. He will know what to do. But the ring actually, it's in your inventory. I just put it on because it's just like, I just don't want it in my inventory. I'm just going to put it on my little guy and make him fancy. But actually, if you talk to Virgil while you're wearing it, it'll turn on a debug, and like you can give yourself gold and experience, all that stuff. I'm not doing this. I'm going to play through straight with this character. But yeah, it's useful to have Gabe if we want to do like a little one-off weirdo character like that. You could just make a guy, give him a bunch of experience, and just run ahead to do whatever.
Just to get the low intent build to get him to Toronto and see because it's a very reactive game. It's much choice and consequences. Like it actually shows off the much choice and consequences and how the world reacts to you just from interacting with Virgil alone, and that's a little bit different from let's say the Holy Ground. I know I'm treasoning on Holy Ground here, but New Vegas, where certain items react to you. Like, if you have a high repair skill, you can repair the machine gun, or if you have a high science skill, you can use the chemistry set. But the characters don't, like, you can't play if you put one intelligence. Doc Mitchell's not going to call you a retard, if I recall correctly. The dialogue doesn't change if you're you can't do a low intelligence playthrough of New Vegas. While in here, people react to you instantly.
The consequence of voice dialogue, man. I think it's just literally like a labor thing. They can't make it work. Same thing happened bringing back Morrowind. We just were discussing. You just have less options. Every character can only have, if you have a generic side of the street guy, You can have like 2 lines of dialogue. It's just not reasonable to have him react to things. Like in this one, and again, we'll get to it more when we get into a town. It's incredibly responsive. But and Virgil will respond if you're stupid. I definitely have played it alone.
It's so funny. It's writing is so good. And this game was only made by 14 people, actually.
It's wild.
It's a small team, and Tim Cain talks about this. Like the secret to a good game is tools that let you leverage your team. What he means by leverage is that, for example, he made the code and he made a dialogue system where, if you're a writer who, Boyarsky's not particularly a tech head, but he made this dialogue tree system where the writers can implement the dialogue into the game very easily.
It's basically like an Excel spreadsheet, and you're just able to enter to the appropriate column, and it just auto.
And actually the map, to speak of Bethesda again, the maps in Arcanum were much more easier to create because in Fallout 1 they were handcrafted. You had to handcraft each individual map and put it into the world space, while in Arcanum they're actually partly procedurally generated. So you just had to paint it in a little bit and it would generate the rest.
Before we go run around the crash site though, who is your guy? Who am I dealing with? Unless you have any questions on my little Maddox guy.
So you're playing a thieving, backstabbing half-breed.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be halfling. But I'm tech oriented, but gonna be probably not like a builder guy. More just a technological thief, lockpicking little guy, but I also will be probably making bombs. I go into.
Funny you say bombs. Well, because of course I am playing straight white male human. With both my characters. Well, actually, you can't choose. I guess there's actually, if you play human, there's only one race, and that is the white race to choose from.
Arcanum, the most base game ever.
Pure Anglo phenotypes too. It's great. So my tech build I'm planning on doing is Theodore Build-A-Bomb. Spelled Baum, but of course he is a reference to a certain Polish fellow I'm quite a fan of, and I create lore for my characters. So he's a machinist son from the other continent. He is going there for a technical expo or to become a journeyman, like Fatal style, to a machine guild or to a machinist factory inside Toronto. Of course, due to the terrorist attack of peace by certain orcish fighters. During the crash site, he becomes enlightened to the dangers of technology, and he becomes radically anti-technology the more and more he goes through. Because the whole point of Arcanum is actually about life and death, and it's like relationship to death. I'm not going to spoil, but the whole point of the game is where do we go when we die, that kind of thing. It's actually almost hinted at as soon as you activate the resurrect spell.
No, we'll definitely get into it, and we're kind of going.
Yeah,
in.
So Theodore B. Build-A-Bomb. Build-A-Bomb.
Theodore B. Build-A-Bomb. Wait, so you're thinking about running dual characters?
Just for B footage, so the player so the viewer can see the reactivity.
Okay.
I could find old screenshots on my old hard drive of at least some of the good dialogue from my previous characters. Yeah, so there's Theodore B. Build-A-Bomb. And
oh, wait, this is your old, not the one you're playing now.
So there's two characters. The one I'm playing is my sorcerer build is going to be Piercy Winston Stoddard, PWS, Piercy Winston Stoddard, pure Anglo phenotype name, right? And so of course he's the mage, and so of course that one's just going to be the most just min-maxing, harm spamming, resurrect spamming, just complete mage build, and because.
Is harm the best throughout the game though? Because I've heard it's like
harm can get you halfway, if I remember correctly. Harm will last you a good long while.
Oh yeah,
and harm will last. And if you don't build properly, there's actually have you ever seen the Chris Avalon playthrough?
Oh my god, dude, that was awful. Yeah, he sucks so bad. I remember he was like, "Oh yeah, make a charisma build. They say you can play this with any stats," and you kind of can, but he still. It was the classic someone just playing it for the first time and not having a try run.
Did he ever make it to Toronto? Did he get stuck with the wolves?
I don't think he even made it to Shrouded Hills, dude. I'm pretty sure he died to the wolves. Remember he kept fighting. He didn't know how to work the map, So this is old head knowledge. This was a Kickstarter bonus for Pillars of Eternity for Chris Avalone. What was it? He just said he could do a
He would
Let's
do a
Play,
Let's
right?
Play Arcanum. Thanks for the money, Chuds.
And then he just played it for like 20 minutes or like an hour. And then he just kept running into, because towards the end of this section, you walk out of the map and a little blue map icon appears. You click it, you can fast travel. For some reason, he didn't know, even though there was actually a prompt where Virgil tells you, "Sir, open the map icon at the top of the screen."
Oh, it never got past season 0, actually. There's a 6-part series, so he only played it for a total of maybe 2 hours, an hour and 40 minutes.
What a king. Grant, he was probably slammed with all the like real work shit.
That sweet 240p gameplay where you can't read the dialogue. It's so blurry.
This is what I mean about the curseness of Arcanum, though. Because there was another Let's Play that I was listening to in prep for this a week or so back, and it goes like halfway through and it just ends. I forget what it's called. It's the Mr. Drake one, for anyone that's watched that one. It just abruptly ends, and the guy, there's like years of people like, "Hey bro, you okay? You ever going to pick this up again?"
The Arcanum curse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's just something cursed about this series that we're pushing ourselves into now. Okay, wait, but I'm still not clear. So you have these two characters. Is your plan to try and run these through all the way, or are you just kind of trying them out to see who you like?
Most likely just to get to the end boss. Most likely, I'm just going to get the wizard to do that. What I want to do, especially with the debug with the ring thing, is I just want to have the viewer see the diversity of these. Of an RPG. For me, I'm about choice and consequences. I'm that kind of RPG player. Like, because when I played Arcanum for the first time, and do you remember? I forget the dwarf's name, but you had to go meet the necromancers underneath the city.
Mm-hmm.
The dwarf has to get revenge. I forget what he had to get revenge for. Magnus. And you're just like, oh, kill them all. But I ended up kind of liking the necromancers. I remember. And I'm like, I just speeched them out. I just used speech to resolve the conflict. And of course, Magnus did not want to become like my companion after that. And I kind of like that actually. A good RPG knows to tell you no, right? Like the Magnus refuses. He gets pissed off at you, you damn human.
Oh yeah. It's a real forks in the road. There's no. I think that's one of the design pillars from Fallout 1. I might go through that more later, but is that there's no perfect solution, right? Every solution has to have downsides,
and it's more satisfying than that, because my character and myself generally disagreed with Magnus. I'm like, I know I had a feeling he's supposed to be a companion, but I was like, you know what? No, actually, and that's okay for this character and this character's story. Yeah, it actually adds a lot of depth and flavor to the experience, actually. Like, okay, I'll just make another character. I'll make a dwarf character, and, I'll let my ethno-narcissism carry me through, and I'll kill the necromancers then,
One idea also I have is, maybe we'll kind of play through this with these character sets, and then I might just do, debug build and just go, full evil. Because I know there's a very different, really evil alternate path at some point in the game. I don't know when exactly it kicks in, because I've never done it, but you end up just killing everyone in one or two of the towns.
Oh, the genocide run?
And you do a genocide run of it somehow. So anyway, I don't want to get into that. We're getting way ahead, far afield of our little crash site here. But there's not too much to cover. We've been talking for a while because we're kind of just setting the groundwork for this series. We have our characters. We're in the crash site. You run around, you check bodies, there's ailing wolves everywhere. There's COVID or some shit. The coof is hitting the wolves hard because every wolf is ailing in this area, fortunately for you, as your weak little starter character. And, there's not too much to tell. There is, interestingly, to the north, there's the crash site where the ogres that were flying these little biplanes crashed. You inspect it with Virgil. It's... you see the little necklace with the hex on it.
Yeah, you have no reason not to search every body here. It's tedious, but you have no reason not to search every body.
Yeah, there's a few key items. You get the letter, Wilhelma's letter to Jared, which will come up in Toronto, where it just says, "Oh, I will marry you and be happy. I know I'll see you at X address in Toronto soon." So it's like, okay, there's a quest item. You put in your pocket. And then you go to the other major site is also in the north. Oh, you also fight the wild boars. Did you fight any wild boars, or do you cuck out?
I cucked in the boars this time around. Did you go through the boars?
My guy's actually surprisingly good. I did not know what to expect with backstab. I make some mistakes later, but in the crash site, everything went really smooth. You just get behind it. The way backstab works is you have to be directly behind the unit. If you prowl to be stealth mode, you don't have to have continuity of stealth. You can just get behind them and stealth. It increases your odds of doing damage, and basically it adds a multiplier, like a crit multiplier, if you successfully strike them. And yeah, no, it worked super well. Like, it was like, wow, this is stronger than I think most of my characters starting out, which is not what I expected with the thief build. Yeah, you go north, and then there's the cave, and you go to meet. And I want to include this just because it has a funny conclusion. The cave of Charles Brago. Is that what it is? Yeah, the corpse of him.
And that's the first time you get to use a resurrect spell, if I recall correctly. Oh, and I should ask before we actually, since we're in the starting area, I would actually like to ask you: do you do Arcanum turn-based or real-time?
That's $1 million question. My answer is it just depends on the minute, because I vary. I vary it. I think even within the B-roll I had it. For this one, I'm purposely trying to do turn-based to do like the more authentic experience, because that's definitely what the game is balanced around and assumes. If you do real time, it's like you get hot chili peppers up everybody's ass, everyone's flying around, stabbing each other a million miles an hour. The bows and arrows.
They turn to assault rifles. Yeah.
Yes. Just like a spray and pray AK-47. Insane. So anyway, I switched to real time. Once you're level 5 plus or whatever, and you're just killing rats, just switch that shit to real time.
If I recall correctly, it was due to market demands, or because Baldur's Gate or something like that. Like, it was designed with turn-based in mind, but because modern RPGs were doing real time, it was half baked. If I recall Tim Cain talking about this correctly.
Yeah, that and the multiplayer was another just, I think, required thing they had to include. Both the detriment of the game, right? Because I imagine there's a lot of time and resources going into that. That probably could have been put towards just making it more polished.
So hard your hard drive doesn't get fried. Your saving system got fried, right? 30 hours in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just there goes that game. I don't think I had a backup save or something, which is big mistake in that era in particular. But in this game, I'm not making that mistake. I'm going to have like 20 duplicate saves going back. I'm not going to be caught ever in that again.
No, yeah, well, especially with the games like this, and the thing also with Arcanum in particular is it's hard. Well, let's be honest, it's a very brown game. It's carried in its settings, like in terms of the visual style, like Leonard Boyarsky did a playthrough. I think Leonard Boyarsky and Tim Cain did a playthrough of Arcanum on Twitch, I believe. And Boyarsky was just saying, like, listen, the UI is so ass. The UI is so horrible. It's very garish.
It's all wood.
It's very garish.
That was the style of the era, though. Like, back then, everything had to be... This word always escapes me. It appears to be a part of the setting. It appears to be in the setting. Like, the D&D games of the time all had this sort of stone aesthetic, or like vines aesthetic. Everything had to be like physical feeling, really textured. And now very much the style is sort of black, semi-transparent cubes, minimalism.
I would like a happy balance of this, because like let's be honest, when you like the whole stealing and whole stealth is a little clunky because you got the mask and you got the pickpocketing symbol. I like the aesthetics of the UI, but I really do wish it was less clunky.
But this is another thing where it's just a setup thing. Because in that first video, which I shared with you, which will probably, if anyone watching this on YouTube will see it, everything's really clunky because I'm like manually clicking. You can actually add that stuff to the hotbar, which I didn't realize. And so you can just tap 1 or 2 to like prowl or steal or pickpocket. And I switched to that at a certain point. I was like, oh my God, this is so much faster and easier. It gets actually good when you know how to use it. But it's another thing where like the opacity of these systems is partly just like yeah, it's just like a clunkiness and like visual clarity that even though I could do that, I've played this game for, 100 hours at least, I'm sure. And I just learned that you could that you could add skills like that to the hotkey bar, which just goes to show. I mean, maybe if I was older when I first played it, I would have figured that out right away.
So needless to say, there's a tasteful pinch of a there's a playful pinch of a learning curve in Arcanum.
Yeah, your first character is not going to make it. Yeah, just going through the rest of the crash site itself, you meet Charles Brego's ghost. He says, "Oh, me and my friend were humble beggars, and then a guy took us in and killed us." Or no, he said he cursed us. He cursed us, and then my friend killed me. So I need you to go kill the guy who cursed us. Like, okay, I take the quest. The only other thing on the crash site itself before we leave it is to the south. There's the little kite shaman. And there's also the chest there, which is interesting, is a magic chest, and it randomly seeds based on your player name. I believe Tim Cain said in one of his episodes. So you can actually change your player name to get like really good loot out of that chest. And I think some other chests too. Other chests are linked. Like there's a seed that generates based on the letters in your name.
Yeah, yet again appealing to that reactivity.
Yeah, exactly. Even in a way you would not anticipate. And the video, if you saw it, I got completely cucked by this little kite shaman down there. He was like, he entangled me. I was just stabbing. I switched to real time. I was just like stabbing into the air. He was just, he ran away like a little doofus. And me and Virgil don't have any ranged attacks. So we were just like standing there watching this little imp run around. And then you leave. I don't know if you have anything else on those portions. Well, maybe we'll cover it more again next time, but we can do a recap of some of this stuff because we're running a little long. But you're leaving, you go to the shrine where it says "One will be born on hill wings of fire" in this location. All very vague posting. What does this say? This mean? Virgil walks you out. You meet the guy, a man pretending to be a local. You battle, or at least in my case, I cucked Virgil. I told Virgil to sit down, shut up, I'll talk to him, and then we killed the guy. But then the only thing I want to get to, and we'll cover the rest of the Charles Brego thing in Shrouded Hills next time, but just because it was so fucking funny, I went to meet the friend of Charles Brego, the guy that got murdered, and I'm like, I'm a stealth character, I'll sneak up on this guy. I know this guy. I've played this game before. I know he's a bad guy. Dude, this guy exploded out of the fucking door, like battle raging, like doing the and tried to just kill me. I was in real time because I just had the thing with the kite guy, I think, and so it was like he was just like stabbing at me. I was like, what the fuck? I realized it's because I'm so ugly. My guy's beat with the ugly stick. So literally, I'm at negative 52, and he must start with like a 30 whatever. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a problem when I get to Toronto or something. And everyone just kill on sights me because I'm so atrocious. Yeah. This ugly little goblin
I guess because
noise.
physiognomy is real in this universe.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah, they see my like mal-shaped skull.
You're deeply Norwooded his skull structure. Your genes cannot be allowed to persist in this world.
Yeah. That's kind of my lore for him and my guy. I haven't penned it out in as much detail as you did, but I love to like think of a key character concept. And for this guy, it definitely is kind of the ugly bastard thief guy, like grew up on the street, not a gentleman thief. I'm not planning on going persuasion or charisma to any great degree. Probably will have like one or two, because I think I'm at max 2 followers. So probably like a small, tight build. One other thing before we end the first episode, and partly just to tell you, Gabe, I recommend anyone playing this turn off the auto leveling for your companion characters. If you go into their character sheet at the top right, there's like a little piece of paper with the Arcanum symbol on it, like in their character stat sheet, and just switch it to no scheme rather than currently it'll be on whatever their name is, that character scheme. You can turn off, and then you can manually level. Because one of my big beasts, and again, sorry to repeat myself, but we'll go into a lot more detail on these in future episodes, but is the followers. And Tim Cain has this, following from Fallout, this series of games, the companions are always very secondary. You can't directly control them. You can't directly level them. I think that's a big miss in a lot of ways, and one of the less attractive parts of these games to me. And in Arcanum, I love that with these mods, you're able to turn off auto level, and then you just talk to them every level or two, and just manually assign points. You can make them any build you want. You know, they're not going to put any goofy points in weird places. Like Virgil, otherwise will put points into lock picking, which you may not want, or he may waste a point on wisdom, or I guess no wisdom in this game.
Well,
you know what I mean.
Him
like
putting it to lockpicking is actually based on his lore.
No, it makes sense. But and even with a technology build, like for my guy, I'm definitely going to turn it off for some of the characters. People might view this as cheese, but I think it's very reasonable to just say, no, actually, I want Magnus, a tech character we'll meet later. I want him to focus on traps exclusively. Like, I just want him to build like the best traps. I'm probably not actually going to do that, but I think you should have that flexibility with these characters. Like, I'm going to keep it within the theming, right? Like, I'm not going to make Virgil I don't know, like a thief with technology. I'm not going to do the polar opposite, but I like the ability to adjust it yourself.
Yeah, and you might, especially, and let's be honest, if you're not a mage character, you might as well just cheese as much as you can.
Oh my god, dude! That's actually something I was going to say to you. I remember you mentioning you were thinking of doing a mage build, so I was like, okay, he'll be set. But yeah, with that ring debug thing I mentioned, I think anyone that goes like I'm an inventor focused character, I would say go ahead and just give yourself like 500 gold. Free gold using that to start. Like, you deserve it, man, because it'll save you some
well, actually,
later.
there's a background. There's even one of your backgrounds, which is also really good. An RPG, when your character, you can have a background where you're wealthy, I think, where you get extra gold, but you get like lower dexterity or something like that.
Which I think is a big miss, or like not an optimal build, because you're going to come into gold pretty quickly. So you're going to miss those stats because there is a level cap of 50. In this game that actually I believe I turned off as one of those miscellaneous mods, so it goes up to 100 now. But just remember, every one of those levels is most of the time 1 point. So you end up somewhat limited in what you can do, especially the first half. And you can get gold. There's ways you can get gold. I'll just leave it at that.
Indeed, there is. Well, I think overall, since we're talking about the crash site, I'd say would you say it is a textbook of what you should do of an intro to an RPG? It's a good starter tutorial level for an RPG in terms of design.
It's interesting that they made it remote. I think that's probably the most bold decision they made, right? You're not starting a lot of RPGs. I played Neverwinter's Night, the really shitty one, the first one before this. At least I think I did. But in that, you start like in so many other games, like BioWare games, you start like a university, Hero Academy. You have people to talk to, and you're interested in the dialogue in a lot of detail right away, and people like to tutorialize you. This really does throw you in naked and afraid into the woods, surrounded by ailing wolves. So in some ways, it might make a faux pas, and it might add to the unapproachability of the game, because you're starting, alone. Well, you have one support character. And then you come across this quest, which I find super interesting. They decided to have this quest be the first quest you meet in the game. I don't know. I guess I think it might make some cardinal sins in a traditional sense. I like it, but what do you think?
Well, it would be a lot more isolating. Isolate, a reference to another Troika game, but I would say it would be worse if you didn't have Virgil, because you have Virgil as your guiding light here, both for the lore and as your healer, right? So with Virgil, you get actually introduced to basic lore, the Panari. How would you pronounce it? The Panari, the Panari religion.
I think it's Panari.
You get introduced to the background, to the lore. You're not completely isolated. It's not like in Fallout 1, where you really do feel lonely. And the whole point of Fallout 1 is to feel lonely. And heaven forbid, if you go west of Vault 13, you meet your first super mutant with a machine gun, and he kills you instantly. Which, I was trying to pick in the chair, like, you know what? I'm going to go the opposite way to Shady Shands. And you just get fucking wiped with a critical... It was a critical success, too. It was...
Oh yes, you get turned
Yeah.
to pulp, like your head pops off. Yeah.
But with this, they hold your hand into this, and I like the idea of the Charles Brago thing. Because the whole point is the whole subversion of expectations. You know, I thought, so you're slowly subverted of the actual what happened with the whole Charles Braco situation.
That's true. It does tutorialize your decisions mattering with the assassin who meets you, and you can cuck Virgil, tell him to sit down and shut up. You'll talk to him, and then it goes poorly because there's just no option to really persuade him in that case. But or Virgil, you have to give him a character moment. It does definitely that does open it up well, and this is just sort of a combat zone. The broader, it does do sort of the Breath of the Wild plateau thing, right? With this and Shrouded Hills and everything related to the Brago quest. There's like 4 little locations here, and they're surrounded. It's an island, right? There's a little river and a mountain range on one side. So in the broader tutorialization, this and Shrouded Hills, I would say, is perfect. This as a starting location, I could see people arguing that the Avalons of the world, that it's too harsh and you're still too out there on your own, because there are some tougher foes, right? Like there's the kite guy. He's not too bad, but I definitely got my ass kicked by the boars with some of my characters. Which not to say you shouldn't be able to, but I think this the crash site as a singular location, it has, I wouldn't say there are flaws. It's just there's some hard decisions being made, or binary decisions, right, in terms of like how welcoming the game will be, and I think it leans towards unforgiving.
Wait, you say it as a game in general, or just this moment?
Just this moment, this specific part of it, like this subsection, the crash site, including Shroud Hills, I think is actually like maybe one of the all-timer intros to a game.
In terms of difficulty, or in terms of memorability?
Memorability, and tutorialization, because you get to Shrouded Hills and we're not there yet, but all of a sudden these really interesting quests branch out, and they have several different solutions. You're stumbling into fun, interesting characters in a very tight location. Shrouded Hills is super chill.
And with the Brago quest, because not only does it introduce you to the overall shtick or the gimmick, which is like, you expect, it's a very simple quest. I'm going to get this ghost his vengeance right after being killed. But then it's of course revealed that he's an asshole, and then do you remember the evil response you could do to him? He's like, I was merely pretending to be a good. I actually like killing people. You could actually tell him that, by the way. I actually enjoy killing innocent people. Mm-hmm. So you can cope in front of this ghost that tricked you into killing this poor man.
Yeah, that's definitely a cope. Like, because there's really no reason to kill Arbala, the guy who cursed him because he murdered his family. Like, there's no reason to help Brago, except actually experience. Mm-hmm. I read in the wiki you can actually do both quests, technically. If you get the blessing from Arbala and then you kill him, he no takebacks, bro. No takebacks. I still have +5 reaction modifier, which, by the way, I did go with. Even though my guy, I'm playing him as, kind of a middling scumbag, is the sort of the role play I'm trying to stick to with it. Not crazy evil, but just selfish. I was like, I gotta go Arbala. I need those 5 reaction modifier points. Like you wouldn't believe, bro.
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure does the fan patch? Surely a fan patch has to patch that out.
I didn't test it. I just did the right thing in this one. But supposedly you get the ghost doesn't give you anything except the experience points, but you can get, I guess, double experience points. So you could, farm if you really want to farm XP maximally. You could squeak it out here.
Yeah, and also introduce you as both a narrative point about the complexities. It is a morally gray world. You can't take everything on the surface level. 1 and 2, it actually introduces you to the resurrect spell, right? The idea of resurrecting characters and actually talking to them.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's good that's one of the first main quests because it introduces you to that concept. And oh man, I can resurrect people and actually talk to them. And so if you lean into that, you go toward that path and towards the magical side. You could actually learn a lot about the characters in the world and different ways to achieve things.
Oh, that's true. And I wonder if it's also that it was so much. I'm sure it was a lot of work to add that into the game and add a lot of. A lot of characters just have generic dialogue if you resurrect them. They're just like, "Oh, the pain I'm suffering." But there's quite a few that will have conversations with you. So I'm sure they want to advertise that, and like you said, it's kind of like a catnip, imagination catnip of, oh shoot, I could put 2 points into this spell school, and I could just do what started that cool quest. It definitely worked on me when I was younger and I played it. I did a necromancer build as my second build, I think, for that reason exactly.
Yeah, and notice death. No, notice the suffering isn't them being dead. This is a reference to the overall theme. It's the suffering of being brought back to the land of the living.
Yeah, very goth. Definitely Boyarsky's influence coming through.
No, I was about to say his Nietzschean influence. Like one of the background traits is literally, I think, Nietzsche's son, or the son of Nietzsche.
Poster boy.
Nietzsche's poster boy. Yeah. I think you critical fail more often, but you get 10 plus experience points each time you level, or something along those lines.
Which I never did that. I never did that one, or there's like the bloody mess equivalent in this game. Dude, next time's gonna come up a lot more. Holy shit, the critical fails in this game. I'm gonna put a pin in it because I basically knocked my own block off right after leaving this section. Anything else, I guess, get to kind of close out this first intro episode where we're talking about history, what our goal is here, and just a crash landing into the not Shrouded Hills, but the Valley.
Interesting because it starts off this intro, and compared to other RPG openings, it starts off very action oriented. It throws you into the action, and then you get it starts fast and it slams on the brakes, right? Because you go through the crash site, you collect these things, you do the priest quest, you talk to Virgil. And it's basically a slow roll until you get to Toronto. Basically, you go to the town. Shrouded Hills is the one with the bank, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one bank. It's a slow roll until you get to Toronto. So it starts up super energetic. Oh my god, what did this terrorist attack happen? Who is this boy? It's some would say Fallout 4 actually ripped off a certain plot point from the opening of Arcanum.
I should have played Fallout 4.
I'll tell you after recording. It's another Bethesda reference.
Another Todd win. Copy paste. Don't mind if I do.
A common Todd W. So in terms of openings, because if you look at Fallout 1, it starts mysterious. It's very slow roll. You're lonely. You start in a cave. The only other dude that they sent out is dead. His skeleton.
Skeleton.
They won't let you back in. They don't even answer the damn telecom. Right? So you feel lonely and alien. Here is a lived-in world. You get to Virgil, so you're not as lonely. You have this weird terrorist attack that happens. High action beginning point, but then slow roll until Toronto. And would you say that the game Arcanum is... You'd say the beginning areas are a little too slow, or no? From the main plot points.
I don't know. You're talking about just Shrouded Hills specifically, or even outside of that, like Toronto?
Because you're gonna get sidetracked as soon as you get to Tyrone. It's not like Bethesda where it's theme park style, but you're mostly going to get like sidetracked a lot by the time you get to Toronto, and you completely forget what's the conceit.
You'll be running errands for hookers. You'll be robbing storekeeps for pennies just to do it. Like it definitely does. It invites that kind of just meandering, even though the plot has a sort of seeming urgency at the start. To your point. I like the Shrouded Hills slowness generally. We'll get into it more next time, but I think it has the feeling, because you're stranded there, it has this feeling of like, okay, I can it almost gives you permission. There's actually a really good, you were talking about like video essays earlier. There was a guy, Will Loves Games, and he made one of those epic 50,000 hour highly edited videos on Oblivion. It wasn't that long, but it was like a 5-hour video. And I watched it. It was pretty good. And one of his main points was in regards to urgency in Oblivion being a thing where you get this like, oh, the world's going to end. And then as soon as you step outside, there's like no urgency, right? Or there's all these ways to go, but actually the plot is inviting you to feel urgency that's false, right? Because remember, there's like, oh, you have to go. The main quest pushes you from point to point. You have to deliver this necklace right away, and then you have to go to whatever the next thing is right away. Even though the actual fun and joy of the game is exploration. And so he's like, actually, Morrowind did this better because you come in, like, okay, here's 50 gold, go get some experience, come back and have experience. Arcanum kind of does the Oblivion thing, right? Where it gives you this sense of urgency, but then it does force you to retain, dare I say, by like literally having the bridge blocked. And so that kind of invites you to explore Shrouded Hills. So I find that pacing works for me. And then I guess Toronto and all that, it becomes a little bit more muddled. But I'm basing this off memory from playing this years ago. So I'm super excited to see how my opinions change.
Are we giving another point to Morrowind in terms of ludonarrative harmony? Are we giving another point to Morrowind?
I'm not saying it's perfect. It's just pretty close. Just a touch of Todd tastefully completes any game, but overdo it, right? Too much sugar, and the cake is too sweet. Your teeth rot.
Oh my god! I did not expect the Morrowind sweep during our Arcanum retrospective.
I'm on the record. I have a novel length like Morrowind fan fiction out there, so like yeah, I'll admit I am biased, but yeah, it's a classic for a reason. Let's just leave it at that.
I would say 2 out of 3 of Tim Kane's games have really good intros, because Vampire also has a very good intro.
That's not really a Tim Kaine game, though, right? That's Boyarsky that did like 90% of the work on it.
True. Well, just say Troika-esque games, right? Because that one has a perfect ludonarrative harmony, right? To use the pretentious early 2010s essay term. Right, because you're a nobody, right? You're a fledgling, you're a new fag, right? You gotta learn the ropes. So you start with your shitty apartment in Santa Monica. You go to the hospital. You meet what's his name, the guy with the smiling jacket in front of the blood bank. I can't remember, but yeah, you could easily you're incentivized to take your time and explore Santa Monica, overhear the conversations, get the atmosphere going. The pacing of Vampire, I'd say, has probably the best pacing of the plot in any RPG, other than Morrowind. Because Cassius Dio in Morrowind literally tells you to fuck off and explore the world and try to embed yourself into the culture. Because you're glowy, right? So he wants you to act natural and get to learn the cultural ropes. It's actually beautifully... because in a lot of ways, vampires also, you're kind of a pseudo glowy as well in the story as well.
Yeah, cat's paw of forget his name, LaCroix. Yeah, and Arcanum doesn't really have that mechanism as much. I think the bridge blockage is the closest, because it's like, okay, I'm stuck here, I got to make do. But that's not really like the world talking to you, right? That's just. Like there's just a physical barrier. Yeah,
it's a mechanical conceit, and you get to Toronto and you're finding stolen paintings in warehouses, and you're reading the newspaper.
Yeah,
like, oh wait, I'm the Messiah. I completely forgot about this.
It does have that. Toronto in general is an all timer, and this game has just like running around the setting is so fun. But yeah, I think that might go back to my earlier. Maybe it's a component of my earlier comment on like. This lack of sense of place in Arcanum as a setting, where it's like the mission itself also falls by the wayside. And I remember some of the later parts of the game, I remember speeding through them more. And I don't know if that was just me because I was like, oh, I'm ready to beat the game now, or if there's not as much content there. So I'm super excited because I have such a clear memory, especially of like everything up until BMC, the Black Mountain Clan Mines. Is like I know at the back of my hand. After that, we're going to be an unknown country for sure.
The Great Filter, the Void.
Yeah,
the Void Filter is the Black Mountain Clan.
But okay, but do you have anything else? I guess last call.
I really look forward to this. Actually, I look forward to going through this because I think, people know the memes. Like in a lot of ways, dare I say, this is the Dave's Gaming version of the Craft of Shadows, where we peel back, we take a shady side, we take a shady look. No, fuck. I got the damn punchline. We take a look at the shady side of creativity here, with it in terms of not only the memes but Arcanum or its best RPG of all time. We actually take a non hyperactive zoomer look at this. We take a detailed, slow roll, a close reading, close analysis of the game, its quirks, its design, its atmosphere. And of course, we have what a lot of these video essayists don't. They don't have is that we actually have the Word of God. We have our Lord and Savior Tim Kaine, right? So we can incorporate a lot of the background knowledge that we have as we're making this slow roll documentary.
Yeah, exactly. Similarly, I'm excited. We're gonna just take our time, go through it, like talk through building layouts, talk through little bullshit characters, anything that kind of grabs on all these hooks, like you said, that Tim Kaine has put out with all his vlogging series. And it's like there's all these interesting ideas floating around. Yeah, and kind of document a game that fell through the cracks in some ways. It's somehow very well known, but I think not well understood. And it's partly due to the opacity of its own UI and rule system. And so I'm excited. I am a lot more literate in it than I was like 2 weeks ago when we were first starting to actually commit. Let's start recording these things, because I thought I knew the game system, and there's actually it's deeper than I thought. And I also want to go through some of those mechanics for people to listen through. Like, I've played it through one time before, but I was like, well, have you ever used called shots, bro? Do you even use called shots in Arcanum? I haven't, but I will this time, and I'll report back on how it goes. There's a lot of nuanced subsystems because of that kitchen sink dynamic I mentioned earlier that just you can squeak through the game without learning them. But yeah, there's just a lot of fun ideas to play with. So yeah, we'll wrap it there, and thank you anyone for listening. Please do like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz. It's super helpful. And we'll see you in the next one.
Good night and good tugging, boys.
Mm-hmm.